Chapter 22. Isn't this great? The bridge of 1,000 mallards was made from the palest red stones. Its 3 arches and their mirror images on the water created a chain of rose-colored globes. In the morning sun, it looked like a passage to a magical land. The bridge was only about 15 feet at the keystone, with a bench below the parapet and wide capstones. A deep, lazy channel of water stretched below it. There was no doubt how it received its name. Rafts of ducks paddled in the water and huddled on the grassy knolls surrounding the banks. Lola dashed back and forth to the river's edge, whining and begging to retrieve. Max clipped her to the leash, but still the ducks erupted into the air, quacking and rasping. They'd be safe once they crossed the bridge and hiked a little further, but Max couldn't relax. Earlier, he thought he'd imagined a motor, or he thought he might have heard a motor, but then the sound disappeared. Had he imagined it? His eyes dashed from one bank to the other. He was relieved to finally spot the cove. Max pointed upstream and across the channel to the far bank on the river left. "Look, Isadora, that's where we're going." The bank was overgrown and dense, so it would take a little while to reach the inlet. Buelo had said it was only another hour to the secret bridge and the guardabarrera. Max grabbed Isadora's hand and they hurried to cross the cobbled deck, but when they reached the center, Lola growled and would not move. Max looked around. He didn't see or hear anything. "What is it, girl?" Lola planted her legs and snarled. That's when Max saw the green truck from yesterday slowly inching across the end of the bridge, blocking their way. The man parked and climbed from the cab, holding his rifle at his side. Isadora clung to Max, who could barely contain Lola. She barked wildly and tried to charge the man. "Better settle that dog," called the man. Max cried out, "Lola, sit!" The man took a few steps toward them. "I checked with the police. She's one of those missing girls, and there's a hefty reward for her. Anyone heading to Caruso had to cross this bridge, and I knew the ducks would send up the alarm as soon as you got to it. Don't even think about running this time. I have someone waiting on the other side." He nodded towards the end of the bridge. Max spun around. A police officer stood at the deck's entrance. Behind him, the bumper of his car showed through the thicket of trees and bushes. "All we want is the girl," called the man. Isadora trembled. "No." Max's body tensed. What could he do? Regret showered him. He should have never pretended he was Papa's substitute. Father Romero had warned him that their lives would be in danger, and yet he had foolishly undertaken this journey anyway for his own selfish reasons. How could he ever have thought himself capable of being responsible for another person's life? How could he possibly hand her over? Isadora whimpered, "Please, don't let him take me." Fear for Isadora gripped him. He managed to put his arm around her and called to the man, "Don't come any closer. You're scaring her. Let me tell her goodbye." The man nodded. "Make it quick, then send her over to the truck." Max knelt on one knee in front of Isadora so they were eye to eye. He squeezed his hands into fists so they wouldn't shake. "I'm sorry, Isadora. I didn't want it to end like this. Please forgive me." Her chest heaved and tears rolled down her cheeks. It was all Max could do to not cry too. I'll figure something out. I'll follow you. I'll find you, I promise." But even as he said it, Max knew that was impossible. The man had a truck and Max was on foot. I don't want to leave you," she stammered. Max looked at either end of the deck. He couldn't see a way out. A guardian has to be ready to improvise at any moment. "No matter what," he whispered. He grabbed her hand. "I have an idea, but you must be the bravest you've ever been. Give me churro and your glasses and your sewing box, and take off that sling." Her lips quivered. "Trust me," he whispered. Sobbing and hiccuping, she did what he asked. Max pulled the backpack to the front of his body. He tucked the glasses and the wooden box into the smaller pockets. He stuffed the sling in the bottom of the large pocket and put the kitten on top. Leave the bag here. There's nothing in it we need. Isadora looked towards the man at the end of the deck and the police officer at the other. She choked out her words. Which way should I go? Neither, whispered Max. Just do as I say. We're gonna take a shortcut. Max unclipped Lola, ordered her to stay, and stuffed the leash into his pocket. He pulled Isadora up on the stone bench and then up onto the capstones. Don't look down. Look at me. This is our chance. Do you understand? He locked eyes with her. She nodded and bit her lips so hard that blood purled up. When the men saw what Max and Isadora meant to do, they ran toward them, waving and yelling. But it was too late. Max and Isadora jumped.